That moment when Scratch is shadow banning all the horror games on their site, but you're actually just a chill guy that likes to get scared sometimes. So last time I played Scratch games on this channel, I opened up a forum to let you guys introduce some of your cool Scratch games. And I said, make them super scary and freaky and scary. So even though it took like 2 months for me to actually get around to doing it, I finally played all of the games submitted. Some of them were pretty good, and some of them, well, let's just say you're not going to want to miss them. So strap in while I take you guys on a journey that you might not regret. Quick little disclaimers before we start though. I am going to be making fun of all your games. Just because you guys are my fans does not mean that you're safe from my wrath. Disclaimer number 2. If you submitted a game that isn't being reviewed in this video, then I either could not find your game or it broke the rules of the game jam, i.e. a Five Nights at Freddy's game. Disclaimer 3, no getting butthurt in the comments. If you guys can watch me make fun of other people's games, then you should be able to take it. And if you can't, then you shouldn't have submitted a game. Thank you guys for your patience in letting me get this video out, and I hope it's well worth the wait. The first game is what I can only describe as a remake of a remake. Now this game is called LiDAR by the Takeout Samurai, and it's inspired by the Roblox game by the same name. And that Roblox is in turn inspired by the Garry's Mod LiDAR. And technically the creator could have just jumped the middleman, but come on, it's a Scratch game. Scratch and Roblox are like cousins. In Alabama, we're spawned into a room and all we have is this tool to scan the walls around us, and a radar that points to a monster. The goal is to get 5 green orbs that you can scan with the device. The only issue is that you have the most menacing circle in the world following you. There are 3 main ways to locate where the monster is, the first being the previously mentioned radar that points to the monster, as well as beeping when it gets too close. The second way being the most obvious, just scanning it. The third is the most useful after a while. The monster slowly gets rid of the scanned particles as it passes, leaving a visible trail of where it is. Now, since this game is so simple in premise, it's really hard to find things to fault it for. The game doesn't really explain itself besides the instructions, and also the sound that the scanner makes is just abhorrent. But otherwise, it's pretty good work from the Takeout Samurai. I don't know why I didn't just read the instructions, but I ended up not beating this on stream. I thought you had to find an exit or something. I know, biggest brain on the planet, guys. So I never figured out what happens when you win, so I guess it's time for a rating. Let me introduce you guys to the MuhKendric Scratch Game rating device. I spent the last couple of months making the most delicate, profound rating. It's a tier list. Yeah, it's one of these videos. And this one sits comfortably in B tier. It's functional, but it's not really all that fun. What happens when you combine Scratch and a point-and-click horror? Well, apparently it's a lot of pointless doors, full of like bricks and stuff. Jokes aside, this game is actually pretty well made and functional. It's one of the first Scratch games that I've played that has a real story to it. This game is called Alone in Your Neighborhood by Execute Random Games, and I appreciate the effort that they clearly put into making this one. Starting the game, we get some exposition. We're going back to the village that we were born and raised in, and you want to go back since you were always curious about the strange building that it was used for. The graphics are pretty rudimentary, but this game was probably made by a child, so it gets a pass. We have plenty of options to choose from, most of them being houses, which are all carbon copies of each other, and the first example of a big issue in this game. I'm gonna finish explaining the rest of the game before I get into that, but I think that the obvious issue is gonna show itself. The map has some charm to it, and exploring the cities was actually pretty exciting to me, even though it's poorly drawn. I wanted to figure out more, and I clicked through all of the houses, and I found this. Hey, what's up, man? You have to be the only person living here, I imagine. We click into the first place and notice that it's completely locked up, so you know what that means. It's fetch quest time. Hell yeah. Into the supermarket we go. Now with, nothing? Holy shit, they weren't lying. This bitch is empty. I guess this guy just feeds off air or something. We see some chalk drawings saying it sees you. I don't know if that's a threat or something, but you used the fill tool wrong in your chalk drawing, so I don't want to hear it. The rest of the place is absolutely trash, but we get this lantern at the end of the hallway. I'm sure that will be useful later. Up next is the school. Now this hallway loops forever. It's almost like I'm back in high school for real, guys. There are multiple doors to choose from. The first leads to a useless room with what I believe is a window. However, the next door leads to the exact same thing. Okay, well, let's try the next door. Now this door actually leads us to, no, I'm just kidding, it's the same room. However, going into the black door on the right gives us some more It Sees You designs, but more importantly, a key to the strange building. Now that we're in the strange building, we go down the hallway and find yet another 6 hallways, one of which is actually important and 5 of which are just bricks. Maybe this is meant to imply that the people were trying to seal off portions of the building, or more likely the developer just wanted to have some more padding to make the game feel fuller, with the illusion explosion of more options. We're then greeted at the end of the hallway with another lock. We click around until we find out the dude from earlier just gives us the key to the ominous room for seemingly no reason. And then we unlock the room. It escaped to the forest? Okay. Serious continuity errors here. Who wrote this note? And why isn't the door already unlocked if the guy got out? Anyway, one trip to the forest and a lack of survival instincts later, we have a run-in with this thingy and a random-ass guy's silhouette. Your body was never found. You should have never gone back. Okay, so that game was a lot more interesting than Scratch games typically are, so I'm gonna keep my review brief for time. This game was really interesting, and it was clear that the effort was definitely put into this one, more than the other games we're gonna cover. This game works well as a point-and-click adventure. However, too many spots were entirely useless. Like, this field literally had nothing in it, and having to click through 8 houses to find the only one that matters is just redundant. Same thing with these brick walls and 3 rooms that copy each other. If you want more rooms, they should add something to the story, some type of environmental storytelling going on. Or you could have the rooms add to the gameplay, and if you're scared of the building being empty because of lack of rooms, maybe you should add a reason why the rooms can't be accessed. I feel like a better idea for these places is if you added a puzzle or something, or some type of mini game that you needed to unlock a certain part of the building. Something to keep the game engaging. But overall, this game really impressed me, so I'm gonna put it in A tier. And it's all downhill from here. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you that that last game was the longest one that we're gonna cover in this video. So let's go back to the shorter, more simple games. This one being called by Leon GX. This game's controls have to be the worst thing ever created. You know those really shitty UI memes where you have the slider for your phone number and shit? Instead of the mouse controlling where you look, it controls where the background is. So everything is really just inverted. Clicking on the video button does this.
Hello, are you happy?
Very cool. I have no idea what it said, but our only option is to watch these videos. But every time we do, the room gets slightly creepier. On our third video, we get the urban spook treatment.
1 a.m. in the morning. A dead body was found and named Schwanzeier Pushkwingelgogerikwarnrobul Schwantasilia Gogagog. Named after a city in United Kingdom.
Have you seen this, men? Well, I have now. Another click and I saw him everywhere and I'm not crazy. I feel happy like a gift, but I frown. You're frowning? No. One Mandela catalog jump scare later, and we can't watch any more videos. Well, guys, at least we can say the title was accurate because this is a nothing burger. I want to give the game some credit by saying it's probably a parody, but seriously, there's nothing to this game. If you make a game, make sure that it's actually a game and not just a video with buttons. The only reason I'm including this one is because I'm ranking absolutely every game that I got to F tier. Now, I've mentioned before on the channel that I don't really like the Exit 8. I don't think it's a bad game, I just personally don't prefer it, and I would barely classify it as a horror experience. However, what I would consider as an objectively bad game is Anomaly Facility by Beach KE. First of all, this game is like the Exit 8, but there really isn't a way to win, and there really also isn't a way to lose either as long as you aren't stupid. You start off in a room that doesn't have any anomalies, and if you're unaware, games like these have a chance of an anomaly spawning in each room. Usually it's the player's job to figure out if there's an anomaly. In other words, something in the room changing. Things seem to change very frequently in the room as you go into it. And I'm assuming that these are all floors to a building because this looks like an elevator. So what's stopping me from just going to the top of the building? The gameplay is as simple as clicking the anomaly before going into the next room. But there's one huge issue. There is absolutely zero punishment for clicking on things that aren't an anomaly. So I just clicked on everything and then moved next. There's also these timed rooms which give you more than enough time to get through the door, and it only got me the first time because I was trying to click the clock. Again, biggest brain on the planet. Oh yeah, and if you leave an anomaly unchecked, then it will get freaky on you. This game isn't the worst by any means, it just has an obviously really bad design flaw that needs to be addressed. And like I said, I never really found these games very fun in the first place, so D tier. So I'm lumping these two games together. They're not very similar at all, but I don't feel like there's enough to say on a segment by themselves. The first game is Nyctophobia by Mega Animation. I really like the style. It was cute and the jump scare looks really nice. However, the game only lets me move around these rooms and collect items. But then the big bad evil guy is just faster than the player, and also he takes up the entire hallway, so if he spawns, it's just game over. And since it would spawn every time I left the room practically, I just gave up. The style is good, but the gameplay needs some major refining. D tier. The other game, Unknown by Naomiko, they just forgot to add the enemy to their game, so it's literally just a walking simulator, F tier. Hey guys, quick little update. Social Blade changed from saying I had 180 days to hit 25k subs to saying it's gonna take 409 days? I don't know why Social Blade's preying on my downfall now, but let's prove them wrong. Let's hit 25k subs before the end of the year. Keeping in order of how I played the games on stream, this one was one of my personal favorites, honestly. Unusual clicker game. And this game has a secret twist to it that makes it, well, unusual. As much as I wanted to play this game, the creator and long-term fan of the channel Plush Mix told me that the horror was not complete, and they requested some last-minute changes. So after waiting about half the stream, I finally got to play it, and it was well worth the wait. The gameplay is about the same as any other clicker. You click the guys, and then you get more money to buy more guys. What makes it a horror game is how fucking long it takes to get to the end of it. No, I'm just kidding. It's this guy. Oh, what's up, this guy? So this game actually doesn't have much to it. I just really like it because it's funny. When you buy some of the guys, a creepy little head will show up. Unfortunately, this game isn't complete, and it's not even possible to get the final fella. But I think if the game was completed, I probably would have rated it way higher. For now, it gets, C tier, but it has potential. I'd say if you redid this one, I would add an ending for sure. And then also, maybe if you made the game degrade a little bit more permanently instead of just kind of having a jump scare in between some of the parts. Neat idea though, I like it. This game was just Subnautica. Sorry, F tier. Alright, finally, we've made it to Scratchy's game. Hi Scratchy, I know you're watching this. Please don't kill me for this video taking so long to get out. Scratchy's game is called Night Killer, and it's a side-scroller. It is not a side-scroller, and also I'm stupid. The game hits us with some text telling us that we're not alone. A pretty common scenario. We have some pretty top-tier animation mixed with some objectives that we need to complete in each room. I noticed that sometimes you actually need to click the E button on the keyboard, but sometimes you also need to click the E button on the screen, so like you kind of just have to guess. To start, you need to grab the crowbar, then you can remove the debris at the front of the house. Once you escape, you get to see gore. Guys, I might have to blur this, I don't know. After walking further, we get to see some spooky guys. I like the lack of the stinger or anything. They kind of just glide towards you. And I'm gonna be honest, I got stuck at this part. I couldn't figure out how to make progress, and I honestly don't know if I'm supposed to. I like the attempt at a story with this one, and obviously I'm a little biased because I know Scratchy is passionate about making games, so I do see the effort. However, Scratchy, I'm sorry to tell you that this game falls into a very common category in the EXE/indie horror games. It's a walking simulator. A lot of these games lack gameplay, so my suggestion is to add some sort of challenge in the way of doing stuff that makes it more interesting. This game gets a C tier, but below unusual clicker game. Last but not least, we have a real heavy hitter. This one is Emojiphobia by Troll G Case 509. And this game is really carried by the art style, and its gameplay is heavily FNAF inspired. We start with a note explaining all the emojis. Emoji Man shows up at 2 and you need to shut off your power. The skull shows up on the TV and you need to close the door so he doesn't show up in person. At 5, Gaze shows up and you need to use your flashlight on him to go away. Faceless is another skull, except he doesn't show up on the TV. And the red demon is the same apparently. However, the demon just says don't believe in his lies. Now you might have noticed I haven't showed gameplay for the last couple, and that's because I didn't make it that far. Remember how I said the game is carried by the art? I meant that. No hate to the creator at all, but it's kind of like a post-shift 2 situation. The game has some pretty obvious glitches, and also the game is way too difficult. I suck at video games. I'm sure somebody else could beat this with ease. But there was also times where the animatronics would show up twice at one time, and it was literally impossible. So I'd say definitely take some time to make sure that the game is functional, and also the game was way too slow. There wasn't anything to do while the animatronics weren't directly in your view, so I was kind of just waiting around, and it got really boring. And the creator was kind of coping in my chat, saying that it would get interesting further into the night, but I really wasn't encouraged to go any further, especially since the hours were so long, and I knew that my game could just end because of a glitch. Things like this made me not want to finish it, so you might be wondering why I ranked it so high on the tier list. I mean, there's only one slot left, and this game is the last game, so why is the game S tier with all of this criticism? Well, that's the funny part. It isn't. This game is actually disqualified. I said in the rules that I wasn't going to review any FNAF games, but I did. Whoops. So I'm just not going to rank this one. So what actually is hiding behind that S tier rank? Well, it's your game. Hey everybody, it's me again. Yep, a lot of you guys were asking if I'm gonna do another game jam after this, and the answer is yes, but this one was kind of a shitty time, if I'm being honest. I wanted to bring up that a lot of you guys were telling me that you made these games in like 2 hours and like kind of coping a little bit beforehand, just saying, I'm sorry if my game's not good, I didn't spend a lot of time making it. The problem with that is I gave everybody a month, so I am going to be doing another game jam. However, I'm changing a couple rules from last time, so listen up. In my next video, I'm only going to be featuring games that I would put in the S tier. I want you guys to use this as motivation to spend as much time as you can on the games, making them good. I live streamed every single game this time, and a lot of people in my chat were really impatient waiting for me to play their games. So this time I'm not going to be doing a live stream. I am going to be playing every single game, and I'm going to make a video around the games that I'm going to, like. And I don't want you guys to shy away from submitting a game because you're scared it won't get featured. I believe that if you guys actually work for the full month that I'm going to give you, then you're going to have absolutely zero problem. I want this series to have some sort of productivity to it. I'm not a game developer, but I am a game consumer. So when I tell you guys what's wrong with your game, I want you to take that and use that as a method of improving your games. And that's kind of what I want to see with this next game jam. Now, if you didn't make a game for this video's game jam, it's still fine. You can still make a game. I just want you guys to use the time that I give you. So again, there is going to be a Google form in the description so that you guys can go ahead and submit your games. However, I cannot stress enough, I want you guys to use your time. Man, it is nice to be freed from my chains here. I've honestly kind of been dreading making this video for a while, so I'm kind of happy it's finished. And I didn't want to be like a negative Nancy or anything. Make some good games, guys. I believe in you. I think it's going to be cool.